There you are.
How you
Ah,
doing?
All right. And then LJ should be on pretty soon.
Okay.
But right now we're gonna go with us. For people who don't know, we are actually bringing this back. This is interview series. We're doing it basically on Instagram, but we are going a little bit bigger. So we have YouTube, and we're just building everything pretty much back up. We want to give everyone a voice. So really, the structure of this will be, Blanchard, you're going to be able to answer questions from as many people. If you guys have questions for them, send questions at the bottom. Also, we have it to where you guys can jump into the video chat and ask questions that way as well towards the end. But we're going to go on various topics. That's pretty much what we do. So once again, we try to give everybody a voice. So we might as well just start getting this started. So just, I guess, introduce yourself to people who don't know you as well, and just kind of give us a little backstory of how you started to where you are now.
Okay, yeah. So my Instagram is he is Blanchard, YouTube, he is Blanchard, Twitter, same thing, free Blanch. Um, I think I got started doing this type of content maybe in 2020, like before, like kind of around the time everything really happened. I started focusing more on this. I've done videos. Most of my stuff was just like, funny stuff, life stuff. It wasn't really that serious. But I think it got real serious 2020. So I just started seeing things. And then actually in 2019, maybe about that November, I don't know, something changed. I started noticing more, things I never noticed before. And so it kind of opened my eyes up to even what I was watching, documentaries. It was like everything was coming to me at once. I didn't realize it, but it was divine intervention because when March, everything changed. So I was kind of got a little buffer before everything changed. So my content's pretty much changed the past 2 years based on what's happened. But I've been on social media though, just, and I've been free Blanche. So it's just,
Hmm.
more focused now.
Yeah, that tends to be, I think, with a lot of different people. I feel like a lot of people's platforms and channels really skyrocketed because people started diverting their attention from mainstream news and mainstream media, and actually just started listening to each other, really,
Yeah,
because there's people who are on the ground and are actually pretty much doing their own research, seeing what's happening.
yeah.
um, and so on that note, as well as, we obviously know there's so much going on globally, but one of the main focuses right now seems to be the what's going on in Canada. So um, yeah, I'm pretty sure you have some information and some things you looked into on that. Is there anything that you could tell us in terms of what is happening on ground, what pushback is, if there's any hands involved with some of that? Because I mean, it seems to me like the people are behind this, but the forces that be are completely against it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm hearing two sides. I'm hearing that, they always say controlled opposition. And then they always say it's an actually organic movement. Um, I don't really know, but I can say this. The approach of it is what needs to happen, meaning that you just shut the system down. You just said we're not going to do this, and now the system has to make a decision. To me, if anything, it exposes the system's hand. So I know they saved up a lot of money so they could do this. I mean, or, have money donated or whatever, millions of dollars, so these guys will be able to feed their families still. But I don't know if it's organic or not. I just don't know. I honestly feel like when this whole thing started, the amount of folks they wanted, they didn't get. They didn't get that number, and so I think them, going back saying we're not going to do any mandates and stuff like that. I believe that all that's a smokescreen. Me personally, I believe it's kind of like you softening us up to let our guards down, and then you gonna hit us with the whammy. So this trucker thing, it could be legit. I don't know. I'll know it's legit when I see it worldwide. Like if I see everybody doing it, like America doing it, then I can say, okay, this might be legit. But if it's just Canada, I really don't know because it could be, you know, smoke and mirrors. But hopefully it's real. I'll know by the reaction of the government pretty soon and know whether it's real or not to see what they do. But they could just blame everything on the supply chain. They could just say these folks have their supplies messed up, and it gives them a way out. So I don't know. It's kind of tough. You know, I don't know. I've never been a part of a revolution, so I don't know how it looks. I've never been a part of times where, you know, it's just I don't know how it looks. So I'm just, is it like the movies? Is it not? I don't know. So if the
Well,
government doesn't like it, then I'm going to assume that, you know, it's legit. I don't know.
right. Yeah, that's some of the stuff like I was pointing to is if you've seen to see a couple of the stuff I've seen. Number one is I've seen them putting nails out on the roads,
Yeah.
trying to stop the trucks from moving. I've seen the people who are actually at the protest are actually picking up the litter, cleaning stuff off, you know, and trying to keep the city clean. And this is, to me, that's not behavior of people who are trying to overthrow democracy. So when we see the actions of people like Trudeau, and all of a sudden he's sick now, all of a sudden that this is happening.
Yeah.
For me, I'm looking at it as if this is a real thing that's actually going on. I mean, we have people that are down there on the ground, but for the people who don't know what's going on because this is in a whole nother country, I know we have those assumptions. But do you think that America as a whole should, it doesn't have to be a convoy, but should be waking up and saying, hey, we need to do something to push back against this tyranny, you know, in a public eye like this?
Yeah, I believe that whatever, it's kind of like playing poker, you know. If Canada's doing the convoy, we should say, I'll raise you. You know, we should be doing something way more intense. I feel like when we do it, it just means more. So if Canada's doing this, we should be doing this in every state, in my opinion. And then that way, I'll know it's real. So like once Biden gets on TV and says, listen, they got to get back in those trucks. I'm starting to see so many articles about them pushing out these robotic semis. You know, I'm seeing them, they're about to start putting them on the road. So I don't know if this stuff kind of correlates with that. I just don't know. But I would say that we should be doing it. And we should be doing it 100 times over because we're supposed to be the folks that believe in freedom. We're supposed to be the folks that fight for freedom. We're supposed to be the rebels. We're supposed to be the folks that people look up to save the world. So to me, Canada put us on notice. And now we're supposed to pick up the torch and, you know, and carry this thing home. So yeah, we should be doing something. Yes. I mean, stop driving Uber, stop driving Lyft. I mean, take it all the way. You know, just everybody stop. And I guarantee if everybody stops, they will have to say something or do something. So yeah, we should be doing something.
Yeah. One of those, I forgot, I think it was DC Drano that was talking about there was going to be one to DC.
Okay.
But it's in the works. But
okay. Yeah, so that would be awesome. Yeah. You know, I was just in DC and I realized that history is going to repeat itself, but it's not going to look like the history books. It's going to be kind of like a melting pot of people fighting against a system. So it won't look like traditional, you know, slaves on a plantation or Jews in the Holocaust or anything else we've seen. It's going to be actual all facets of people going against the government. So it's going to look totally different, but it's actually, to me, going to really be organic. I believe in the past, most of what we saw were really staged and orchestrated movements. I believe that this one is going to be legit because of the consequences. People are losing their livelihoods. People are losing everything behind this tyranny. So, and we see it's in our face every single day, all day. And it's almost like a psychosis type of thing. It's like we're gonna bombard your brain with this to where you only see this, and I don't know, it's crazy. So to me, that's torture in itself. So like I said before, I don't know about a revolution, but I would say that again, whatever Canada is doing, we should be doing it times 10.
yeah, can I ask you guys a question? Going back to about the news sources is, you know, right now, cable has gone down, right? People are not really getting their news from the actual news. People are getting their news from Facebook, from social media. My question is, with so many different platforms out there, independent journalism and this broadcasting, how do we know who to trust? How do you know where your news or your sources are valid? You know, like,
Yeah.
there's so much information out there. It's an infinite amount of information, which is great, and at the same time also cause for concern, because how can we differentiate all these smoky mirrors is what you say, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I would say one thing I do is, I try to pray for discernment to be able to look at something and see, is there a hidden agenda behind it? But also, I also look at whatever's being done, what could be the final outcome for it? Like, what would it lead to? So even with the trucking thing, there has to be an end game, right? So what's the end game? Is the end game for Trudeau to say, you know what, you guys can have it, you guys win? Like, what's the end game for that? So I always look at what is the end game for what's going on. Even when the Supreme Court saying they're not going to uphold these mandates, but what's the end game? So I always look for, okay, if they're not going to do this, what's coming down the pipe? What's next? So I always look at what doesn't give me a final solution. Because to me, I couldn't even say, let's go back to normal, because what's normal, right? So now we're almost at the point now where we can't even go back. We're in a phase now of trying to create a new future. So with that in mind, what does it even look like? Like, what does the new world look like where we're actually awakened? Before we were asleep, now we're actually awakened to see what's going on. Now what do we want? Okay, I don't want the government doing this. We don't want y'all doing this. I don't want, just, so I try to look at when somebody gets on, like, people are saying that they can cure you from the jab. And I think to myself, if you could cure somebody for it, you'd be public enemy number one. Like, if you could undo what they're doing, then you would be literally the public. They'd be coming after you immediately if you could reverse all this stuff. So when people say this kind of stuff, I'm like, how credible is it really if it was true, they come after you? If they got rid of Kennedy and all these other people, like, you would be nothing to get rid of. If you really had a lab in there, you was cooking up a cure to all this stuff, no. So most folks are being deceived now because they're just looking for something to hold on to. It's like we all in the ocean drowning. We're just trying to grab onto anything that's out there, so everything seems like it's legit.
We are.
Convoys over here, secret serums over here, the aliens coming back over here, just all kind of stuff, But the fifth dimension, I mean, that was a big thing a couple of months ago. We're going to the fifth dimension. And everybody I know that said that is still here. So clearly, there ain't no fifth dimension. Y'all still here with me in the regular dimension. What's it, the third dimension? I don't know. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's more a state of mind than an actual place of physicality. Like I said, it's right now people are waking up from the psychosis, but time out, not all of us.
Mm-hmm.
So that's also a different world. It's like we're all living in the same world plane, but not in the same realities.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because of all this different news that it's coming on. Some people are still clinging to, mainstream media and think that is factual, because it has been for all their lives, 40, 50, 60, 70 plus years. So that,
correct.
They say that you can't teach a dog new tricks. Well, how about those people that are not waking up from the psychosis? It's like this new world that you're saying that we're trying to attain, that we're working towards. How can we do that when there's some people living in this limbo? Because we cannot go back to normal. We have to push forward. But there's people who this trauma response is what's happening. And kind of what you said is like, we're in the ocean drowning, trying to find something to hold on to. And some people are just holding on to not necessarily what's safe, because they don't even feel safe, right?
Yeah, right.
Or what they know. So
right.
I like the first response was, I pray for discernment.
Right.
And I think that we all really need to focus on, is praying and having faith.
Yeah, you had said you pretty much had said a key thing, which is what I've been saying this whole time. Is you hear a lot of people say, oh, we want to go back to normal. Things need to go back to normal, but we were never living in a normal reality. We've we literally have just woken up to all the corruption that has been done to not just humanity, but the world, the planet in itself. I mean, we have all these false narratives like the climate crisis. It's like we don't have control over what the planet does. So this brings me into really the whole media uh, manipulation. I mean, we know about things like Project Mockingbird, or at least the people who do have looked into this, and how the media has pretty much been weaponized against the people.
Yeah.
So, from your perspective, from your thought, how do you look at what the media is doing? We've seen them attack things like Joe Rogan. That's the recent thing that they're attacking now.
Yeah.
But they've attacked credible doctors. They have attacked credible scientists. What is your whole viewpoint on how the media is being used in all of these different categories, racism and the current pandemic and all these things? What's your viewpoint on that?
Honestly, I believe that the media is the segue for obviously the New World Order, this Great Reset, this one world government. So basically, I realized in 2020, I sat and looked at CNN one day, and I just saw that they were kind of using the same format as sports. And it was like they were trying to show who can show who can show the most about the Peter pandemic. You go to another network, who can show the most about who can have the best talking point. But guess what? It's all the same thing. So the media's goal is to just like herd us like cattle to a certain direction. It's not really to inform. It's just their job is to push us towards the agenda. So honestly, in my opinion, climate change, racism, Peter pandemic, they're all the same, because the goal is to get us to be a part of a one world government, meaning they want all of humanity to be the same. So if you notice, the news, the media has the same script, same talking points. They want you to hear the same thing. And most people believe that. Somebody just told me today, this article was on Rolling Stone magazine, so you know it's real. I was like, what? But people feel like, even woke people, CNN credible, MSNBC credible, CDC credible, all these people are credible. Think about it. They're saying now what we were saying 2 years ago. They're just now saying it, but it's credible because they're saying it. So the media's job is literally just to get us to go to a direction, and then something else picks it up. So it's almost like the media steers us to the Peter pandemic, and then they put it in our face. Then it steers to climate change, and they put it in our face. So yeah, the media's job is literally, to me, it's just the devil, because to me it's almost like it's mind. The Germans call propaganda like mind rape. It's like raping our mind with this stuff every single day. It's just nonsense. So yeah, I feel like it's a tool of the devil, and they all have a script.
Some people will never kind of get it. But so my next question to you would be then, how do you think we go forward into defeating such a powerful conglomerate such as the media as ordinary regular day people, who don't have that power and that platform to really go against something like that?
I'm kind of split on that, because part of me really believes we just have to separate and live in our own world. I mean, I know it sounds optimistic, but I don't believe that, because you got to think about what you're asking somebody to do. You're asking someone to, because if we're right, that means someone's entire life has to change. If we're wrong, they can go back to being ignorantly blissful. So most people know if they listen to us, it's a life-altering decision. So most folks don't want to do that. So I don't think that most people will let the mainstream media go because it still gives them hope. Like it still gives them comfort. We don't. What we're telling them means that what you mean? Obama's hold on. So Obama wasn't for the people? That shatters someone's entire life. What do you mean, Dr. Fauci? He's not that good? That shatters someone's entire life. So most people are not, they don't even have enough character to do that. It takes character to say, you know what? I've been lied to this entire time, and I'm choosing to do something different. Even with Neo in the Matrix, even when he was out the Matrix, and Morpheus is showing him, this is the world as you know it. Now let me show you the real world. And when he showed him the real world, Neo was like, let me out. But guess where he was going? He was getting let out of the Matrix back into the real reality. So guess what? He wakes up and says, leave me alone. He starts throwing up. That's the kind of reaction people gonna have to what we're telling them. We're asking them to literally unplug from their entire life and start fresh. We're talking about growing your own food. We're talking about not trusting celebrities. We're talking about all these things folks gotta do. More folks rather just say, you know what? I'll just watch CNN. I just go to the shade room because it's easier. Listening to us is very difficult, and I get it.
The shape.
Yeah, the shade room is the, yeah. You'd be surprised. Yeah, the shade room. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, they're not the best. They're not the best.
But
You get your news from the shade room?
listen to me. Most people, you think about it, don't even have enough discipline to even watch CNN. If you cut CNN on, that means I gotta sit there, I gotta listen, I gotta read the graphic. Nah, skip that. I'll just go to the shade room where it's a post, and I can just go to look at the post and then go through the comments. It's a lot more entertaining and it's a lot faster, and I can do it on the go. So most people are not going to even sit down and watch CNN anymore. It's literally what they see on social media. The problem is people like the Shade Room and Hip Hop Hollywood and all these places work for mainstream media. So they just give us this stuff in like an hors d'oeuvre, like a sample. Like them folks in the mall, you know, you want chicken, you want chicken? Like you walking by, everybody got food lined up, want to give you a sample. That's what it is now. So I don't think folks are going to leave that media alone because the media knows I can just do what I'm doing now on CNN and just condense it and funnel it through to the Shade Room or MSNBC or whatever. They're all the same. Even Fox is the same. I remember when the election was going on, Fox kept their mouth closed. They all owned by the same people. So it's all a setup. It's all the Matrix. Remember that guy was like, he said this steak, he said, I know this steak is fake, but it just tastes so good. Like that's how people are. They know it's like you showed them Obama. Obama clearly said, y'all are stupid. We got to rule over you. And people will say, oh, it's edited. What you gonna do?
I'll say another thing too about Obama was another family member, same thing. He was like, Obama, he's elegant, he knows how to talk and speak to people and knows how to dress, you know what I mean, as character. I was like, well, so does the mafia. The mafia dresses well. The only difference is they kill people brutally. You know what I mean? They just don't do it on camera, obviously. So there's things that we kind of look at people, I feel like judgment, and it's we gotta just, I feel like, turn the TV off, go outside in the real world, and then you'll see how things really truly are. To refresh people too who are just now getting in, I'm Gian, Emerald, Long Journeys at the bottom. We're Interview. We're on with Blanchard right now. If you guys got the memo, great to have you here too. We had already started a little bit. So just to introduce you guys to us, we're rebuilding this podcast / show. LJ, since you just now came in, did you want to shoot off a couple of questions while we have some time?
I don't know what I missed, but right now I'm just chilling, man. I'm just listening. I definitely agree that we cannot just hit people with all this information, bro. They're just so far gone right now that this information will definitely hit them like a ton of bricks, and their whole world will literally shatter. Like, we could split families, we could do all types of information. That's why, we have to be careful and mindful of how we go about it.
Yeah.
Agreed.
I agree.
And On that note, oh, go ahead, Emerald. Go ahead.
I just wanted to touch a little bit base with that whole the convoy situation, you know, and how Blake said, what is the end game? Something that has been on my mind, and something that, you know, if you've kind of been in the loop, you've been knowing, you've been preparing, you've been stocking up to
Yeah.
be independent for these next few months to come, because who knows, right? They're talking about a stock collapse, they're talking about the dollar, everything, you know, and right now with the trucks going on a halt, that's a boycott is what it is.
Mhm.
So what does that mean for groceries? What does that mean for stores? What does that mean for our country, right? And one thing that I have been sharing with my family, although not everybody's on the same page with me, is like, okay, well, why don't you guys get some waters? Why don't you guys get some of this? It's better to have and not need than to need and not have. So that
Right.
is just a small, just suggestion. I don't go and explode their head with so much information and worry, because that's what, like, it's kind of hard to, like, okay, granted, I'm not scared of, you know, being sick or getting sniffles, but on the flip side, I see the other extreme of the spectrum, you know, and I see how dangerous that can be as well. So for people who don't see that other side, it's like small little crumbs that do not cause a panic, do not cause cognitive dissonance, right? Because that's what happens when you are threatening these realities that they're living in, the
Yeah.
comfortable views, perspectives that they're living in, holding tight to, because they have nothing else.
Right.
And it's scary, you know. So that's what I do for my friends. They're deeply about that. I know we're not going to have this conversation. I don't want to cause any more divide between us. It's like, you know what if I just suggest this just for fun, you know, just have it. You never know.
You know,
Apology.
Yeah, you can
on
hold
that
water, but you can't make them drink, you know.
Right.
on
I
that topic
agree.
too, Blanche, you had said something too that just, I don't know, this had triggered this in my mind was you know, about like the media and stuff, 60 years, you know, this propaganda, which we know. I had this conversation with someone, and we're talking about a family member who's like 81 years old now. And, you know, I've noticed a lot of younger people are actually, or people that are around our demographic of age, are probably the ones who are the most awake and aware to everything that's going
Mm-hmm.
on. And the reason I say that is because 81 years is a long time to be on this planet. So you would think someone maybe with that tenure would be like, okay, they have to know something, but that's 81 years of brainwashing. You know, whether it be through media, whether it be through others, through military, all these different organizations and conglomerates are constantly brainwashing you. And
Mm-hmm.
then you don't even get on the topic of food and drinks and the air and all this other stuff. So I think that's kind of an issue because now well, it's not kind of an issue, it's really an issue because now we're seeing obviously them targeting the children with so much different stuff. So I wanted to get on the topic of, you know, the whole racial narrative, which seems to be pushed ever since 2016, I feel like crazy. Um, so I think it's important, you know, for all, if we want to call them minorities, even though I don't even think we're a minority anymore, um, to understand this information. So I wanted you to go in kind of on uh, race and how that's being used against the people, number one, and then two, also the political parties and some of the history of Democrat and Republican, because a lot of people don't tend to realize that black people were primarily just Republican.
Yeah. Yeah, we started voting. We started voting Democrat back in 1936, and it took from 1936 to 1970 for progress to stop in our community. I want to say from maybe 1940, mid 1940s to 1960 something, we bought the most homes in history, and then everything stopped. So the purpose of integration, to me, integration itself was racism. Because what integration
Mm,
did was they offered us inclusion, but without any economic stake in the country. That's a setup. And so most of the race narrative really is a communist propaganda tool. if you think about it, successful people in life have successful habits. They think a certain way, they act a certain way, some even dress a certain way. But your success is really contingent upon what's up in your brain, how you approach life. There have been folks that I knew that grew up in the most average situations and grew up successful. Then there are folks I knew that grew up very privileged and spoiled and turned out to be scumbags. So I just think that the whole racism narrative is still a push towards globalism, because eventually they're going to have to not get us to focus on racism. They just want the masses of people to latch on to race so they can tie race into something else. And I think that something else is going to be climate change. I'm constantly telling my people that this whole Peter pandemic thing is nothing compared to climate change. Because with climate change, they're going to get everybody to think, you know what? Because America is the poster child for racism, even though it's slavery going around the world. Because America's so racist, we have to get to a point where we're all together on this thing. And the all togetherness is going to come. It's like they're almost going to flood your mind with race, CRT, and all this stuff to get you to accept what they're going to give you. What they're going to give you is, we're going to take away your individuality. So we go from transgender to transhumanism, because you have to have a one world people to push a one world government and one world religion and all that stuff. So the whole race narrative to me is one big psyop. I did a video where I talked about lynchings. Actual lynchings didn't even start with us. Lynching started with white people and Mexicans. And nobody even knew that. I just looked it up. I looked up the amount of lynchings that took place. The numbers of lynchings don't even compare to how much we do to each other. The homicide rates, not so. The information is out there, but it pales in comparison to the propaganda. So if I can get on TV and show you something every single day, let's say George Floyd, for instance, if I can show you George Floyd every single day, and it impacts the world to protest, imagine what they can do with climate change. Imagine them getting on TV saying that these types of people, the ones that are in shape, everybody on here, they're emitting too much carbon. Do we lock them up? Do we kill them? Do we send them off somewhere? This is where we're going. But how do you get folks to do this? You get folks filled with a bunch of fear. So you make them think that racism is some big boogeyman that's out there is going to devour America. And we all know we may have experienced a racist person, but actual racism, meaning something systemic that says, I can't do this and you can't do that, we haven't really seen that. We don't know what it's like to go somewhere and someone tell you, you can't come in here because you look a certain way. And guess what? History repeats itself, so we see it now. They're just telling you now, you can't come in here unless you got this passport. It's the same thing. The only difference is it's not skin color. It's what? It's allegiance to society, which still ties us back into transhumanism, globalism, all this stuff. So when our people started voting Democrat, there was already a plan in place. And the plan was, if these folks stay on the right track economically, they're going to be like, let's say, white America, or even Asians, or even Hispanics, or whatever, where we'll have our own economics in America. So what they did was they said, you know what? Let's integrate them. Let's put them in the workforce. And then that way, they won't financially build up their communities. And it worked. But I always say that it was a setup, because the purpose of it wasn't to empower our people. And the purpose of it was still on the same track as feminism. Even with the women, the same tactic. You put the women in the workforce, why? Because you want them to have jobs? No. It's a way to increase production, but also you destroy the family. Because if both folks are career orientated, who's going to try to make a home and make a family? Nobody. So all this stuff ties in. So to me, it could be racism, it could be the transgender, it could be whatever. All those movements lead us into one direction. And that one direction is they're going to get on TV and say, the planet is trying to kill us. We all got to come together. we think about it, they're gonna say we've defeated racism, we've defeated diseases, we've defeated this. Let's come together and defeat climate change. Climate change is gonna be the worst thing we've ever seen in the history of mankind. It literally is. I'm just saying it's gonna be literal human enslavement, bondage. Oh, times a thousand.
Yeah, I
Lost
agree.
cause.
Odd validity when something that we've been saying for a year, 2 years, finally does come out on MSNBC or on Fox News or on 5, and I'm like, oh, finally a source that they can trust. And I copy and paste that link. I'm like, I've been saying this.
Right. And it's sad you got to do that because they'll get tricked later on. Like, you know, it's just like these folks are credible now, but in 3 months, it'll be some more garbage. It'll be some more propaganda. So it's almost like you still can't even listen to them. Like, I realized one thing last year. I realized that everything that they do has to be on a consent basis. So that means two things. That means, one, the truth has to be out there, right? And then as LJ said, you got to go out there and find it. But it has to be consensual. They can't force us to do anything. And I realized that because if you dig, you find. Nobody's ever dug for something and didn't find nothing. So the information is out there for everybody. So they have to give us a choice. The problem is they know they have to give us a choice, so they disguise the choice behind distractions and illusions. So they make you think you only have this option or this option because of what they force fed you. You mentioned it earlier. You were talking about how someone being on the planet 81 years being indoctrinated. So exactly. So back in the 30s and 40s, and I'll even say this, in 1950, I don't think you could have came to the people and told them to shut your business down for a Peter pandemic. They wouldn't have did it. You know, you couldn't have told the people in the 50s to say, shut your whole life down, wear a mask, do all this stuff, because there's something floating around in the air. It would not have happened. The people would have been like, no way. But 2020, you can do it because we all watered down. So we have been programmed, indoctrinated, life got better, life is easier. So all that stuff plays a factor. But again, they're giving us an illusion of choice, but we actually do have a choice because even if the stuff hits the fan, we can still choose death. I don't want to sound morbid and grim, but we always have a choice. I don't care what,
exactly.
We got a choice.
That part.
Right? So at the end of the day, when I hear people say, my job made me get it, my baby mama made me get it, my wife
made me get it,
my mama made me get it.
Some people's livelihoods, you know, I don't have children. I'm not a man with a woman in a home and a mortgage, you know? So sometimes, like, when people tell me, well, for my job, it's like,
yeah.
Well, here's the thing about that for me is that the people who are getting it because they're saying their job is telling them or forcing them to, first of all, no one can force you to do anything. Just like you said, Blanche, you always have a choice. But two is that job can still fire you, even if you get it.
Right.
So it's like there's no safety net there. It's either your soul or, you know what I'm saying? Like you said, you have a choice. There's no reason. You can look. People make money off of TikTok by dancing. So you can't tell me that there's nothing else that you could do to provide for yourself or for your family. But I know one thing, there's no business or no corporation or no company that's going to tell me I need to inject myself with something and I don't even know what it is to keep a job. That's crazy.
They don't even know what it is. They can't tell you what it is. Like, they just want you to just do it. Like, just
right.
do it. Just do it. I'm like, what is it? Just do it. What is it? I asked people, boy. I said, do you know what it even is? And they say no. I'm like, that doesn't bother you? Like, think about it. If you went to get a hamburger and there was an octopus tentacle in between the buns, you're not going to eat it. You're going to take it back and you're going to say, I got an octopus tentacle in my bun. With a hamburger, you would do that. You mean to tell me these folks are putting something into your body and you don't have any questions? That is insane to me.
But you know what's worse, Blanche, is the fact that even though they're doing it, it ain't helping.
Right.
All of the people I know that are sick have been hokey poked 6 times.
Right.
And I'm like, at which point is it safe and effective? Because that was supposed to be the whole narrative at first. I'm like, it hasn't been safe and effective since Operation Warp Speed. So I'm
Right.
like, where we go from here? Uh,
He
but
said,
to segue a little bit, Emerald, you had a question on global policies, I do believe.
yeah, and this is kind of tying to, you know, activism and just living in this reality. How is it that we can stand up against these globalist policies when we are not familiar? You know, we've been so comfortable, we've been privileged. Even for those people who don't think they've been privileged, we're pretty privileged. And now it's time. Now it's when push comes to shove, you know, and they say, well, the land of the free because of the brave, and that doesn't necessarily mean you have to go toe to toe, fire with someone, combat, or, you know, in battle and war. We're here on the floor, not being able to enter restaurants, not being able to provide for our own families. How do we stand up against it? What advice do you have for somebody who doesn't have the fire in them?
I would tell somebody to, they're probably not going to make it.
That's the realest thing I've heard in 2022.
You know,
Gotta keep it all the way
Not
100.
gonna make it.
and I say that because if what we've gone through hasn't put a fire up under you, like, I don't know, like, because think about it, the next phase of what's going on is going to be like to lock you out of society completely. So I don't know how you're going to make a tough choice in 3 years you couldn't make today. So to me, the most powerful word ever created is no, because everybody knows what no means. I don't care what part of the world you're in. You tell somebody no, they know what it means. So I tell everybody from a person to person level, exercise no. Most people think if I say no, there's going to be a consequence. No, you could say no and it'd be a blessing. So I tell anybody, you ain't got to be a superhero. You ain't got to be a super soldier. You ain't got to be Captain America. You ain't got to join the Avengers. Just tell these people no and see what they do. Most folks can't even respond to no. Tell somebody no and see how they look at you. They'd be like, pick it up. Like, no. Think about it. No, stop people in their tracks. So everybody should have just told these folks no. If you tell them no, I guarantee they don't have a plan B for no. Everything they're doing is contingent upon us actually complying. If you think about it, if nobody complied to this, what was their plan B? What were they gonna do? Send the aliens, send the fake aliens? Like, what were they gonna do? Make a blackout? I'm just trying to figure out what was their plan B if folks didn't comply. I don't believe they have one. I believe that they knew they had society by the balls because they know we're comfortable. They know we love life. They know we want to go on vacation. They know we want to eat good. They know we love all this decadence of this world. So they had us. They knew. They said, if we take these from these people, they'll do whatever we want them to do. So I would tell anybody, no. Start with no and build on no. Don't go out there and get your head knocked off. Start with no first. I'm not doing this. Like, I'm not going to wear a mask. I'm not going to do this, and then build upon that. You got to build yourself up. Most of us, I wasn't prepared for this. I wasn't prepared for this. I used to wear my mask and stuff. I wasn't prepared for all this. And then one day I realized, wait a minute. I took my mask off. I said, let me just try. I took it off. Guess what? Nobody said nothing. I done had my mask off for over a year. Nobody has said nothing to me. So guess what? That whole mask thing was all in my mind. They just said wear the mask. They didn't say they wasn't going to enforce it, right? They just said wear it.
Blanchard,
I'm wearing it.
Where are you at?
Yeah, I'm in Georgia. Well, listen, I'm not in Cali, so I'm in Georgia. So, you know. But when I went to Cali though, I didn't wear my mask in Cali, and I was told one time to put my mask on. Or the guy that I have a mask. It was at a donut shop in Cerritos. He said, "You got a mask?" I was like, "No."
That's the city.
That
That's
was
the
it.
city. That's the city to do it to you. I'll tell you that much.
Cerritos.
Cerritos,
I'm
Long
not.
Beach, all those areas right now, they can't wait to give you that little smile. Can you please
Well,
put on your mask?
here's the reason why, because it's all liberal. It's all, and if we, I don't even want to get into politics of it, but it is what it is. If you go to Orange County, they're like, just go ahead and breathe. Go to the beach, breathe some fresh air. You know what I mean? They look down on you for wearing a mask. They're like, how dare you? You know what I mean? Like, you don't like air? My next question to you would be, in terms of policies, from what we've seen, because, and I don't really want to keep it about race, but I would say let's start with that just because there's still a lot of black people for some reason who vote Democrat, and I would never understand that at this point. But for policies, what are some of the policies that you've seen from both sides and just so far that you would say are beneficial and obviously part of the globalist agenda, and how to differentiate the two? Because a reason why I ask it in that way is because me personally, I've never seen anything from Democrats that benefit the country or us as black people or just Americans in general. So for you, what do you see in terms of that?
Well, I would say this. The Republicans really do a lot of responding to the Democrats, meaning the Democrats push something and the Republicans do the opposite. Kind of like, we're not going to let that happen. I would say that if I look at Democrats and Republicans, there are probably actually maybe about 30% Republicans that are real. So there aren't that many Republicans, actually, in my opinion. I believe that most of the folks we see in politics are really Democrats in disguise, liberals, whatever you want to call them. So they'll sell out to big tech, big pharma, big government. Like, to me, that's the unholy trinity, is big tech, big pharma, and big government. And you'll notice that the Republicans, if you look at the certain bills, the Republicans are signing off on these bills that infringe upon our freedoms as well. So I don't believe that most of the folks in politics are Republicans. I believe that most of them are Democrats or liberals, whatever you want to call them, and it's a small percentage of Republicans. Now, I believe on the Democratic side, they're all satanic. I think the one lady is cool, kinda. She's from Hawaii. She's all right. She got some kind of sense.
Oh, Tulsi Gabbard?
Is that her name? She seems like she has a little bit. She's kind of somewhat sensible, but besides her, they're all Satan. So
Look her up real quick.
yeah. So, but I would just say that in my opinion, politics is a wash because, again, we're moving towards a one world government. So eventually, every politician, think about now, every politician is pretty much on board with what's going on. Even if they're against your rights being infringed upon, they're still on board with the jab and all this stuff. My personal opinion is, if a jab is on the table, we'll never have any freedom, because you can always go to that. Like, so the fact that it even exists is a problem. So all of these politicians are literally for the jab, not the enforcement of it, but they're for the jab. So I'm looking at now, who aligns most with freedom? Like, who believes that I should have the right to not wear a mask and not get the jab? And for the most part, it seems like it's Democrat versus Republican, liberal versus conservative, but honestly, I think they're all going to sell out in the end. I think they're all going to sell out, because, and I just say that because it's just too much global pressure. It's just too many Rothschilds and Rockefellers, too much Great Reset, too many Klaus Schwabs, too many Bill Gates. Like, it's just too much. Unless you're going to be a straight vigilante and just say, forget it all, and we're going to be rebels, I don't see it. So I wouldn't be surprised if we don't have an election in 2024. I wouldn't be shocked. Like, they come up with some kind of fake, I believe they're going to bring some aliens. They're going to do something. Some aliens going to come down and tell us, y'all got to give your guns up and listen to these people because they care about you. And just conveniently, it's probably going to be Obama, probably gonna be the Pope. It's probably gonna be.
My point of bringing this up is that they're using these faces against you. And you had already touched on that topic already, but like this is what I'm seeing. I'm seeing they're using your own people against you, but they've never changed. These are still the KKK racist party. Like nothing's changed at all. So you may have, I was talking to a family member about this. I think this is a good point. That'll bring it home. What he said was, he said, if you look at the parties, if you look at the Republican Party and you look at the Democrat Party, he said one party looks like the Klan and the other one looks like America. It's obviously he was saying Republican looks like the Klan. And I said, okay, well, would you rather have your own people who look like you enslave you, or people who don't look like you fight for your freedom? Because to me, I don't care what you look like. I just care about what you do. And I think that's how we all should be looking at everything. I don't have an Asian friend and I say, this is my Asian friend. I don't have a Hispanic friend and say, this is my Hispanic friend. I say, this is my friend. Right. And so I've seen so many labels be pushed on everything that becomes a problem. So to touch back on the whole race narrative and subject, how do you feel that people should move forward with this? Because I feel like the media is going to use this constantly until, it's basically not like you can't hide it anymore. You can't hide the fact that people are joined together. And I think that's what's happening with what's going on in Canada. So how do you feel people should move forward on the whole race subject?
Well, I would say, well, first of all, let me say this. I didn't know I was conservative until 2020. I didn't know it. Like, I never even thought about it. I never, I grew up, Bill Clinton was the first black president. Obama was Black Jesus. I grew up with the Democrat mind frame. America's racist, all this stuff. So to me, our people can't be Democrats. I'm sorry. It's not even to me, it's not even a choice. You can't do it. I don't know anything that's good from being a Democrat, nor I don't know any. I only know one person that's a decent Democrat, period, on surface, and that's that lady I talked about. I don't even know her name, but I just
Tulsi Gabbard.
Yeah,
yeah,
it's Tulsi Gabbard.
So, but I can't. We have to leave the Democratic Party. I'm sorry, we can't, because the problem is their policies are too destructive, and every time we've asked for something from them, we've never gotten it. It's funny, the Democrats, they're funny because they'll say, we can't do this for you guys because the Republicans won't let us. It's just the funniest thing, but I'm under the mindset of this. I don't want anybody having to do something for me. Just leave me alone. Just let me go out there and get it. Like, I don't like all this. I don't even like it. So guess what? At least the Republicans don't have a specific plan for us. And to me, that's good. Let me go out there and succeed and fail on my own. But our people cannot be Democrat, because the Democratic Party, if you think about it, they actually, without race, where would they be? Without race, what could they talk about? Nothing.
Yep.
We aren't ready for climate change yet. So you think about, look at Joe Biden getting on TV saying, I'm hiring the first black woman. It should be an insult. Why does her color have any merit on her ability to do the job? Like, I don't understand that. Can she do the job or not? Why would you go out your way to hire somebody? To me, it's a setup. Like, I'm going to hire a black woman. For what? He didn't think about it. You gonna hire a qualified woman? No. I'm going to hire a black woman. I say, okay, what's your purpose for even saying that? Because you know and I know, I don't know anybody with a brain that's going to vote for him again. Or even Kamala. But because I have a brain, I know that we will. Like, I know we're gonna do it.
Hey, Blanche, can I say something?
Go ahead, my bad.
I was just, to add into what you're saying, I'm thinking of it like this. So many people are jabbed up, and you said 2024, we ain't going to have an election. Well, that's the whole point.
Right.
They got like 200 million million
Right.
idiots.
You right.
Yep, I said it. Idiots. 200 million idiots. They're just taking a jab. By 2024, y'all might be dropping like flies, bro.
You right. You right. We might not have.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they're probably just banking on that. No election. Honestly, they're probably just banking on that. They even had
Yeah.
that one bill to try to pass that one bill with the putting the kill switch in the car. Like, why would you
Yep.
want to give the government access to? I said, could you imagine? I post something on social media, and they say it's the wrong thing. I'm in my car driving. They shut my car off. I'm like, and I'm just stuck somewhere, and they shut my car off in the Antifa war zone. So now I'm a sitting duck. So now I got the BLM and Antifa coming in my. Come on, man. Nah, that's too much power. Can't do that, man.
No, you're right. You're right. And see, the things like that are hidden in these bills. And they just hid the whole Voting Rights Act in the NASA bill. And I was like, you dirty. Do people not see this? I'm like, and then they're over here trying to say, I mean, obviously they're pandering, but they're trying to say, it's voting rights because black people can't get IDs or some crazy shit this moron said. And I'm like, there's literally nothing stopping me from going up the street and voting. There's nothing at all. But see, they use this in order to pass this stuff. And what this was going to do was this was going to give all the power to the Fed, basically. This is taking the power away from you and giving it to government. That means out of your control. And Stalin said the same thing. Stalin said, because Biden literally repeated the same thing Stalin said, was he said, it doesn't matter about the people who vote. It matters who counts the vote. And Joe Biden said the exact same thing. So what he's trying to do is get the people who count the vote, like they did in the last election. They had to be fishy with it, though. But like they did in the last election, is they want to get the power away from you and give it to them.
Yeah.
So now they can control what happens. And this is kind of what I mean by the stuff that they do and the policies they push and the things they hide in these bills. And so when let's say you post about this stuff and you're like me and you're black, people, they already have a misconception. They think that we have to be Democrat for some reason. I don't know why. But, if I were to say, yeah, I voted for Trump, they would think something's wrong with me. But the issue is you're not, yeah, or Uncle Tom or something.
Yeah.
The issue is I'm not looking at the person, and I actually like Trump. Never had an issue with him before, but I'm looking at the policies. I'm looking at what's being put in place, and the things that are being put in place. If they go against nature or humanity, I'm not for it.
Yeah.
And I think this is what they've gotten wrong with the last election, with 2020. They've gotten wrong with 2016 because I believe they tried to cheat in, but it was just. No one likes Hillary. So I think this is something going forward that people have to really pay attention to the bills, pay attention to the policies, because this stuff is not for humanity. There's literally investigations about crimes against humanity going on right now. And Bill Gates and all these people are involved in this.
You're talking about in Europe, right? In England.
Yeah, right, with Boris Johnson and all that. There's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes. But moving forward, real quick, you guys
running low right now, so I'm just gonna say good night, and I'm gonna allow the space. So if a viewer wants to hop on, yes,
that's exactly what we're getting to.
Okay.
Right now.
Yep.
So for anyone who wants to hop in the video and ask Blanche some questions, we're going to do that for a short time, so you guys can be engaged and get in on the conversation, and then we'll end the show for the night.
I saw some great comments there. Blanche, it was a pleasure getting to talk with you and
Thank you so much.
I'm looking forward for the next one, so I'll catch you guys later.
All right, thank you.
Hell yeah.
All right, Emerald.
Bye.
Have a good night. All right, you guys can send some video requests. Me and LJ will sit back unless you guys have questions for us. I don't know why you would, because you got Blanche on here. But send any requests you guys have, and you guys can ask him some questions. In the meantime, LJ, do you have anything you want to ask too? Because you came in a little late, so I know we touched on the convoy and stuff as well. So.
Okay, yeah, no. I didn't have any. Let me see. What do you feel about the Ukraine and Russia deal that's going on, man, with China?
So I predicted that Russia, North Korea, and China were going to team up against us, and
that's exactly what's happening.
and Biden is really with China, so it's really all a setup. This is, I don't know. It's just hard to tell my people that Biden is working with the enemy. He's literally working with them. I said, I know it's hard to see it, but I said he is. I said his son brokered the deal, which is just so much. But yeah, so I just believe in the end it'll be China, Russia, and North Korea versus the U.S. And I believe that Biden's going to basically just hand the country over. He's going to say this is the most peaceful resolution. We don't. I don't. You know, folks want to hear all that side hallmark stuff. But yeah. So I believe that it's all a setup for a war. Now, will it manifest? I don't know, but I do know they're going to come against us because they know we're weak now with Biden in there. And then if Biden leaves right now, we got Kamala. And if Kamala's president, you know, you can go ahead and cancel Christmas. It's over. It's a wrap.
You can cancel Christmas, Thanksgiving, Valentine's Day.
You go to jail.
Yeah, it's over.
Yeah. No, you're 100% correct. I agree with everything on that one. Who we got in here? We have
Boy, Steve, what's up?
Hey, what's up, man?
All right.
This is a real good conversation you brothers having, man, tonight, man. I'm enjoying it. And I just wanted to get in here and talk about what the brother was saying about China and the thing with China. A lot of people don't know China and Russia both have these hypersonic and ballistic continental IBM missiles. And if you go look into the Bible, you know, they said Babylon fall, you know, it'll be, you know, go up in an hour. I believe we almost close near that time. You're about to see the great fall of America, probably within the next couple of years. And what you was talking about, how a lot of people are gonna be dying from the juice. Yeah, you're starting to see that now already.
Right.
My thing is, man, to answer what I think you were saying, we can't worry about trying to save people no more. We got to worry about finding others who think like us and secretly uniting, because they're going to come for us first. When you know things really about to go down, they're going to come for us. So we got to meet with people like us, and we got to unite. We can't worry about trying to save anyone anymore. My best thing I say is to try to build a real strong personal relationship with the Most High. That's first, most important. However way you choose to believe in that, I'm not here to debate that, but you got to learn who God is, because what's coming. If you don't got the power, all right, let me say this: you ever seen this movie called Priest?
Yeah.
And they were fighting vampires, right?
Yeah.
And their power was the faith in God. And I believe when things really hit the fan, that for those who truly believe in God, you're going to see the power of God like you've never seen it happening before within people who really took the time to change their life and devote their life to God, because what's coming. Most of the people already felt a strong delusion because they drank the juice. That's first. Second, what you said with this climate change thing coming, for those who didn't drink the juice, they're gonna be roping us up off this climate change thing, man. And the best thing I can say, man, we can't focus on trying to save no one. The best thing we can focus on is trying to save ourselves and trying to get with those who like minds, man. And that's all pretty much I got to say. I'm about to make my own video tonight after I finish watching y'all. I got some things I want to talk about. So I'm going to make my own video tonight. I'm probably going to post tomorrow. And I'm just sitting there listening to y'all good brothers. So finish building. I'm listening. If you want to ask somebody else, you can drop me off. You keep me on.
Sure, man.
That's Steve the Barber.
Yeah, man. Very, very well said. I think a lot of people needed to hear that too. Is that, you know, that's the point of our platform, is to give people a voice, and a lot of people don't get that opportunity to connect with others. And just to add one thing that you said too was, I wouldn't tell people to think like us. I would tell people to think, period, because the problem with a lot of people is they do think the same, and these are the people that are against everyone else. You know, these are the people that don't have a mind of their own. But everything you said is 100% spot on. I think a lot of people need to hear that. Appreciate you, number one, checking this out, and number two, being on as well, man.
Yeah, man. Thank you, man. For real.
Thank you, Steve, for coming on. Thank you.
Thank you. Peace.
He said without a award. That was true. How's it going? How's it going?
Oh, everything's all right. I enjoyed the show. Well, not the show, the live. I'm always enjoying when Blanche is on. He always challenging people. I'm like, all right, man, good.
Yeah.
You know what? Without any type of struggle, we don't know what's going on. People are afraid to challenge themselves in any type of manner, fashion, shape, form. It doesn't matter. You know, and as far as like people taking the vaccine, I'm like, the politicians, I swear, they just got the placebo, you know, the sugar water. And that's just to make it look good so people will fall in line. But, you know, thinking for yourself is something that is not always common. Like we say, common sense. A lot of people have been taught, so many of us have been taught to fall in line, to be quiet, to do your work. And so being outspoken is questionable to a lot of people, especially for us, how do you say, melanated folks. No one has the strength, or no one has the courage or the willpower. It's like, no, you first, you first. You can't have that you first mindset. It's like, hell, if I jump in the deep end, nigga, throw the raft. You know what I'm saying? It is. But
Yeah.
it is, and you know, like I say, small minds think alike. That's that half empty. We have to look at it as half full. We've got these things under our belt. It should be nothing for us to actually look at the facts and think outside the box and say, hey, y'all crazy as hell. That shit crazy. As a matter of fact, I can't go with that. I can't fall for that. I mean, and we all struggle with things. Just like I was asking Blanche, I said, well, damn, how you do self-control and just to be celibate for a year or whatever it is. I'm like, I want to know what was it that, how you mastered that. You know, I was very interested in his mindset because, you know, it speaks volumes of a person and their character. And honestly, he answered it right off in the first sentence. He said he had to think about that he was held accountable by God for all his actions. And I'm like, that says it all right there. And that's a blessing because a lot of people, they don't think about that.
What you say first? No, what'd you say first?
Oh, what did I wanted to know? You know, I wanted to know how did you do that? And
she got mad at me because I was laughing at her. So she chewed me out of it.
Wait, what happened?
You got mad at me at first. You said I was joking.
Oh, what? Oh, yeah, no, he laughed at me. I didn't want to be your amusement. No, because he laughed at me like, you know, and I think he didn't take me seriously when I was asking about, you know, how did he master that? Because for a lot of men these days, you know, so especially no female is like, what? You know, and so, but what I'm saying about that, but anyways, what I was saying about that was just that, you know, so many of us lack self-control. We lack our own mind.
Facts.
And not having our own mind is a big deal, because, you know, a lot of us, we're strong thinkers and have very valid thoughts, you know, very valid feelings. And a lot of people, no one tells us that our thoughts and our feelings are valid. So that's the thing, you know what I'm saying? A lot of people, they don't respect us. They like to discredit us. And at the end of the day, a lot of stuff that we, you know, what we feel is valid. It's valid. That we're assuming and trying to put two and two together, these things are valid. And hearing y'all on here talk, you know, is like that certification that, okay, I'm not the only one. I might be a little off on here or there, but where I'm going with it is that's the right way. Because everything that's shown in the media is just put there to discredit your inside voice that says, hey, this ain't right, you know what I'm saying? Or they make it so it discourages you, you know, because everything that we see on TV is, even if it's Fox, it doesn't matter if it's CNBS, CNBC, whatever, they all are in cahoots. And what is the thing? The major theme is confusion, so that we're uncertain of which way to go. We step left, we step right. And it's up to us to gather all the information, not just through the media outlets, but just, I mean, on our own, literally. fact checking. There's ways to do it. I mean, it takes a lot of work, but if you really hunger for the knowledge and you want to know the truth, you'll do the work to get the answer. And a lot of us, we're afraid to step out and do that work for fear of, like how he was saying, start with saying no. No, that's like a bad thing. I'm like, shoot, I practice saying no, even in my sleep. You know, I'm like, oh no. You know, I was the mom that when the kids wake you up in the middle of the night, or mom, I'm like, no. You know, everyone else is like, okay, but not me. I'm like the queen of no. Well, no, why? Because like I said, saying no, that's often the thing that saves your life. You know, not taking that ride, not signing up for this or not, you know, it's often the thing that really helps us or keeps us safe. And so to the community abroad, you know what I'm saying, and right here in the United States, it's okay to not be part of the in crowd. And that I have a 7-year-old, and I'm always telling him, dude, please, get down what your friends got going on. You ain't finna go over there. And every time I say that, something happens. The party got shot up, somebody missing. I'm like, see, look, I follow my conscience, you know what I'm saying, which is, in my essence, that's God's little voice to me, like, girl, please, you get real, say no, you know.
That's mother's intuition too. That's a mother's
But
intuition.
it's God's intuition, because if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have it. I mean, you can worship, serve who you want, but you have to know that when you're aligned with him, 2 things come from it. Number one, that certainty, like, you know what I'm saying, in your whole being, you just know that this is not where you need to be, or you are where you're supposed to be, regardless of what everyone else around you is saying. You know, you have to have that confidence and that reassurance, but also it gives you that what we call our third eye, which is that spiritual eye, that you can see things as they're coming, or even before they happen. You're like, well, this is the way it's going. I mean, it's clear as day, but not so many other people can see it because they're not thinking outside of the box, you know. And I'm like, being a mom, I know some dumb moms. I know some beautiful hair.
Oh, there's a lot. I tell you that right now.
But you know, it's the ignorance, not the innocence, but it's the ignorance, just the not knowing. And people say we're not telling the truth enough to ourselves, to our friends, our family. We don't tell people what it really is, what they need to know. Because the truth oftentimes is ugly as hell and hurtful. It's nothing that you want to just keep in the forefront, because a lot of people, they will be more complacent with the lies. It soothes you, you know. My cousin used to say this, that they'd rather pay to tell the lie than tell the truth on credit. Like, so they'll suffer that, and then they'll get all these lies out. But the truth, you know what I'm saying, it comes at oftentimes no cost. You know what I'm saying, beyond somebody just not liking you. And who needs friends? You know what I'm saying? If it's like that, you don't need people to like you. Me myself, I'm like, I always enjoy hearing the truth. I always enjoy being challenged to think outside of whatever's going on, what I'm doing. I mean, my situation is not certain, but I know that tomorrow will come, and you know what I'm saying, it'll be another day and another opportunity to continue doing what I need to do. And I'm not always right, just because I'm human. But that doesn't mean I can't strive to and try to do what is best. A lot of people, what's best is not what the crowd is doing. So it's not great, you know. It's extra work, and as lazy as I want to be, I just can't. Not in this lifetime.
Right.
Not in this lifetime. If I don't do the work, I won't get the result. And like, you know, how you guys just were talking about living off the land. That's something that a lot of people, even, I mean, as kids, we had gardens in the backyard. Just something that's taught. And it can be learned, but it's just something that you have to work at. Nobody gets it right the first time with a lot of stuff. So what I do have to say is, everybody, don't take the jab. No, please don't do it. As a matter of fact, why don't you go home, get you an orange and some soup, you know what I'm saying, and wrap up, and don't come out if you're sick. Don't, you know, stay where you need to be until you feel better. But do what you would do just for the flu. You know what I'm saying? You would lay in the bed and go to sleep. If you got a cold, you would actually, you know what I'm saying, get you some vitamin C, get you some soup, and try to doctor yourself a little bit. But keeping yourself secure and safe from everybody's thoughts is the only, you know, the biggest deal, because people get sick. But when you're sick in the head, and that's what I see is going on, people are accepting somebody else's rhetoric, and that's shameful. But y'all, look, I got to get off y'all live. Thank y'all for having me. Talk about me after I get off. I'll watch it, okay? No, but y'all have a good night, okay?
All right,
Thank you.
All right, you too.
Man, appreciate it.
John, what up, bro?
What's good?
What's going on? What's going on?
What up, what up, what up? What's the topic, B?
Well, if you have a question for Blanche, then he can answer it. That's pretty much where we're at right now. We already went over all the topics and stuff, but if
Yeah.
you have anything
Rise,
you wanted
baby,
to ask him.
rise. I've been conservative since I was 6 years old. I question why the black. All right, I got a question. So, why do you feel like the black community tends to lean on the Democratic Party so much?
I believe that it's because of black culture. The Democratic Party appeals to black culture.
Hmm.
Republicans don't. So black culture is heavily based on idol worship and what it looks like. So certain figures, just like even with the civil rights movement, they wanted to use Harry Belafonte at first. That was a
Hmm.
famous black actor. Then they end up picking King. So we
But you
really
know,
have,
you know that Martin Luther King was a Republican on the road, though, right?
yeah, of course. But you got to think though, even though he's Republican, we didn't like him that much either. Like
Hmm.
after time went on, we stopped liking him. So again, the Democrats have mastered appealing to blackness, and that's why they can go in there and put on kente cloth and kneel down and get us to vote
And
for. That's why,
what about Abraham Lincoln was Republican as well? He freed the slaves.
yeah. But
Hmm.
again, I think the Democrats are so appealing though because they
Do you think
appeal.
do you think that could be a bad thing?
It's a horrible thing. The Democrats, it's a catastrophic. It's the worst thing that could happen because with integration, we lost everything. Like we lost any semblance of entrepreneurship. We lost so much.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, but the Democrats have mastered giving us personalities. So like when Maxine Waters says reclaiming my time, that kind of stuff matters in our community. When Kamala Harris, I'm speaking, that kind of stuff matters. When Hillary Clinton said I got some hot sauce in my bag, it didn't work. It didn't work,
Yeah.
but she had the right premise though. They just appealing to stuff that's black culture.
Oh,
So
so you agree with what I'm saying? Like, you believe that it should be more open minded in terms of accepting the Republican Party.
I mean, at this point, I said this earlier, we cannot be Democrat. So I don't know what that means. If that means be Republican, if that means whatever, but we cannot be Democrat. So at this point, we can be anything except that, because that is a guaranteed fail. It's guaranteed. It hasn't worked. It's not going to work. It's only going to be bring on destruction of mankind. So if somebody said they want to be Republican, I don't have any qualms with it at all. Be Republican, but you can't be Democrat though. I'm sorry. Anything but Democrat. I don't care.
Hmm.
Anything. Nation
All right,
of
Yeah.
man.
Islam.
So
We're gonna get
who was your favorite how you feel about Trump?
I'll be honest, man. When Trump got into office, I know it's gonna sound crazy to y'all. It's gonna sound nuts. I remember the night before I went to sleep. I didn't really finish watching it. I went to bed, and I woke up. I know I went to sleep, and my spirit said it's gonna be all right. I'm not lying. I woke up the next morning. Trump had won, and my spirit was like I told you. And so, honestly, I didn't have any problems with Trump. If I look back on American history, honestly, ask yourself, who was a better president than Donald Trump? Everybody complained and said they don't want a politician because they lie. He wasn't a politician. He actually wasn't a Democrat or Republican. So the people been begging for somebody that wasn't a politician, and when they finally get him, it's this whole campaign to impeach him. So I'm like, it's a setup. I'm like, he is what folks have been asking for. So why is when he gets in office, it's this big campaign to hate somebody that y'all love for the past 30 or 40 years? So I saw right through it from the beginning because I said there's no way in American history were we able to condemn a president like we condemned Donald. It never would have happened. Obama didn't get it. Bush didn't get it. Clinton didn't get it. Nobody got the type of, who's the lady, the comedian, literally had a severed Trump head bleeding when he won.
Kathy Griffin.
Kathy, it's Kathy Lee Griffin. So like
Kathy Griffin.
yeah, just think about what folks were doing. I'm like, why do y'all hate this man so much? And I never could see it. Yeah. So basically, what I was saying was like, so if I look at Trump and what he actually did, and look at what the media did, it's funny because I used to go on Facebook and say, this is a lie. This is what he actually said. This is what he actually tweeted. All this stuff. Like people were just upset at even the truth. So
Yeah.
I realized that they really got us to hate someone that was actually beneficial. And then they got us to love someone that's going to destroy everything, which is Biden. Like, I don't know how we even, Biden is really known for mass incarceration of our people. And we, like, Trump can't even scratch the surface of what Biden has done to our people negatively. It's not even, it ain't even
All
comparable.
right, we're gonna get somebody else in here real quick. We got about 10 minutes.
Oh, my
All right.
answer.
Crazy.
I'm sorry.
All right. Thanks, man.
All
He said $4.95 for gas. You thought that was high.
right. That was, oh, yeah.
Oh man, yeah. Come to California and see if you wanna drive. Like never that.
Don't do
Bro,
it. Don't do it.
it's $5.95 where I'm at. I'm in North Long Beach, Bellflower, Lakewood area. It's $5.90.
$6. That's, you know how crazy that is, man? $6 for a gallon?
It
But
was 760 something, like an hour away from me.
That's
where's
crazy.
that?
California, like in the Big Sur area.
Oh, that's
That
terrible.
makes
Yeah,
sense.
I'm not.
That makes
I'm not
sense,
taking a
bro.
road trip.
Yeah, it's not worth it. Car's gonna
Nah,
break down.
let's go ahead, man. Good to have you on. You want to
Thank
ask
you.
Blanche
Nice to
any
meet you
questions?
all. Yeah, I guess I'll start with them. I'm a little nervous. It's my first live ever. Nice to meet you all.
Yeah, man. Nice to
I
meet you. Good to
wanted
have
to
you on.
ask you.
Thank you for coming in, man. Tapping in.
Thank you. Lots of wisdom here and a great community you guys have.
Thank you.
I wanted to ask you guys about the truckers. To be honest, in my perspective, I don't really see it doing much. And that's sort of based on my view of what protest is sort of meant to serve. I guess the second clause of the Declaration of Independence, it says that governments are instituted among men deriving their powers from the consent of the governed, which is why we have the right to protest, to let our lack of consent be known. And that will hopefully change something. But with all the protests that I see going around the world, largest protests in history, as far as I know, the government does not care. They don't. So I don't see like larger protests really doing much. I don't think, some truckers here in America are going to make people like Nancy Pelosi say like, oh man, I've been wrong this whole time. I better change things up. I really sort of fall back on the third clause, which is the right to revolution. It says that, when our rights are constantly being infringed on, it's our right, our duty to abolish the government and reinstitute a new one, in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the point where I am, and I don't see, I kind of never see that happening. What do you guys think?
We talked about that earlier. I'll just say my take. If it's real, it will have, it will work to an extent, because if everybody does it, not just Canada, everybody has. If everybody does it, it works, because you shut everything down, so it's going to work. If just Canada does it, it's not going to work. I'm sorry, So that's my spiel on the trucker thing.
All right, sorry about that. I must have missed that little point.
That's okay. It was in the beginning, so if you weren't tuned in at that point, then it's all right.
Yeah, my
LJ.
just a question. Any other thoughts from you guys?
Oh yeah, I'll go. I'll just,
Yeah, go ahead.
you got
Go
anything,
ahead.
LJ?
I
All
was
right,
just
sure.
gonna say, just to back off what Blanche saying, just like it has to be everybody, bro. That's the only way this works. Team makes the dream work.
Yeah, I hear you.
And I just believe that if you're not willing to stand for something right next to your brother and your sister or whoever you claim to be, you gotta be able to stand there and tell them, like we said earlier, no. And also you gotta be able to sit there and tell other people you need to start thinking before you start making decisions, because a lot of people are going out here. Don't get me wrong. Some people are like, oh, I'm not doing this. And then their friend is like, oh yeah, well shit, I gotta go drive this truck. We got to
Right.
start asking them. We got to start hitting those people and be like, why do you got to drive the truck, bro?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I need to. It's like, bro, if we do this for one day, for a few, not one day, but if we do this for this one moment.
Uh-oh.
Instagram don't want me to live. Y'all
Yeah.
already know. Instagram.
Yeah, running back, repeat that part.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so what I'm really getting at is this. A lot of people need to start pressing those so-called peers of theirs and asking them questions to get inside their mind. That's how we get people to start thinking and start realizing that this is something bigger than us. You got to be able to ask that why question. You know how we say no, but we got to be able to ask people why they're doing something. You know, because
Mm-hmm.
we know why we're not getting that Jabbington, right?
Yeah.
So you got to really ask people, well, why wouldn't you stand with the truckers? Why don't you stand with the unvaccinated? Why can't you speak up when you feel like something isn't right in the work field? You know,
Mm-hmm.
people are too afraid of approaching the situation for what it really is, because they don't want that responsibility and accountability to make a change. So I believe that's really where we're at right now, is that people got to take that accountability and make a change with it. If we don't make a change altogether, then yeah, that kind of shit gonna happen. And guess what? Your peers, which is America, is gonna be like, oh, that's cool. I'm gonna go drive this truck today. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right.
It's like, damn, I really feel that. All right, y'all, I gotta go. You
Yeah.
know,
All
back on
right.
the road. And it's
All
like,
right.
you know,
So I agree with both of you guys, number one. But to piggyback off of Blanche, where I'll say, you know, in my opinion, it is working. It's working, and it's gonna work. And the reason why I say that, though, is because what were they doing before? They weren't really doing anything.
Right.
So now they're doing something, and a lot of people, they don't, like, if you look at someone like Martin Luther King, like we were talking about, someone like Malcolm X, the reason why they're big names is because they stood out from everyone else. And what did everyone else do? They started following them. They followed Martin Luther King. They followed Malcolm X. They followed these leaders, if you want to call them leaders. But I don't even call them leaders. I just think they were people who stood out from the rest. And the thing is, you have these truckers, this convoy, who are standing out from the rest of the people. And now all of the silent majority, they're now going out there and supporting them. So now they're
Mm-hmm.
becoming a part of the quote unquote convoy. So the thing
Mm-hmm.
with us is, just as every ordinary people in this country or whatever country you may be in, is some people don't want to be that person to start it. They don't want to be that person to start the fire, but they want to be the one who gets warm around it. So
Yeah.
what's happening is we're seeing the fire has already started, which is something. It's not nothing, it's something. And now that the fire started, there's people that are like, well, shit, am I cold? You know what I mean? They got to think about it first. Like, am I good? Like, I got a blanket, you know what I mean, or whatever. But now it's just for people to go towards the fire or to start their own too. So
Yeah.
it's working. It is working because people, I mean, if you look at the media, CNN and all them, they're not even reporting on it.
Right.
Yeah.
And if they do report on it, it's negative. It's, oh, they're extremist or they're white. Now they're spinning the story.
Yeah.
So
Mm-hmm.
it is working. And the reason why I know it's working is because they don't want you to know about it. They don't want you to see what's actually happening in Canada.
Mm-hmm.
So it is working. It's something that's better than nothing.
Yeah.
And that's my take on it.
Yeah, great points overall. I see the like what you're saying up top about the need for self-sufficiency, for other skills to sort of create our own community. That's one thing. I think that people in our, I'd say, freedom seekers, we didn't really learn a lot from the whole Chaz Chop autonomous zone thing that happened. You know,
Right.
yes, where they really showed that they can force out the establishment, you know, to a certain extent, and really kind of do their own thing. Of course, that failed, but I'm sort of worried about whether or not it's something that is more lukewarm or cold, like you said. with Malcolm X, I think he was, and people like him, they were really, they had a lot of integrity. They knew what their principles were. And to quote Malcolm X, he said, if you're not willing to die for it, take the word freedom out of your vocabulary. And that's my thing. I'm on that point, but so many people aren't. They're willing to jump on the bandwagon, but what happens when, you know, that fire gets a little cold? Are they going to stand? I don't know.
That's why
No, I think
you got to ask that why question, brother. That's why I said that. You know, you don't have to go in and say, "Oh, you got to just ask them why, why? Oh, I don't like Trump. Why? Oh, well, I think Biden them's doing a good job. Why?
Yeah, I had to ask myself those
Like, are you
questions.
crazy?
I haven't heard that one yet.
You want to know why you want to ask? You know why I'm telling you to ask people questions? Because when people start talking and they hear themselves, they realize they sound crazy, bro.
Yeah.
When they can't explain to you why they're doing what they're doing, they have to take a step back and be like, damn.
Yeah, I went through that process myself. I got one of my majors in journalism, which is, if you're a good journalist, it's about asking questions. I was raised a complete communist. My mom was still, she told me last week, she's a communist. And I hated Trump, and I, like, as much as anyone. I'm young. I'm about to be 26 on the 6th, and it was a rough process, I'd say, converting that from that to more opening my mind to, like, why do I feel this way about Trump? Why do I feel this way about, you know, Bernie? Why do I think Bernie Sanders is the greatest thing since sliced bread? You know, all those questions. I voted for Bernie and set out in 2016. I hated Trump and Hillary, and it was the first step, actually, that really opened my mind. I was like, what? They said this guy was racist. Why is he releasing black people from prison? And then I just started going down a deeper dive, and that really opened my mind. And,
hold on.
but there's so many people that are racist.
Can I say
Yeah, please go ahead.
I asked people, I said, isn't it funny that Trump was so racist, but everybody kept going to him to get some stuff done? I said, and I said, and who met with Trump and left empty-handed? We can go to Dan Jones. Everybody they called him racist went and asked the man for something and he gave it to him. Nobody said, I went to get something from Trump and he didn't do it. So you know it was some BS. It was pure BS. And he goes, you know, I could be a father now. Like,
yeah, I was listening to a pastor who said that he went to the White House to go talk to Trump and a bunch of other, you know, people about prison reform, and a bunch of the members of his congregation left just because he walked in the room with him.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow. He said, you know, we're talking about prison reforms to help prisoners, and you're mad that people went in the room with it.
That's crazy.
And,
it's crazy.
And I was like, wow, these people are insane. They don't really care about helping people.
The thing is that they weren't trying to paint Trump as a racist because he's a racist. They were trying to paint Trump as a racist so you believe he's a racist. It's never about them. It's about us, the people. The people. And the thing is,
the same with the convoy. They weren't reporting on the prison reform. Most people had never heard of it. And I mentioned it to my mom like 6 times, and every time I brought it up, she was like, "What? What are you talking about?" She forgot. It just went in one ear out the other because Trump's a bad guy.
Right. Well, exactly.
Did you see how they twist up his thing about George Floyd when he died, and they try to say, "Oh, Trump said I think he." They try to twist his words about the economy and how it was booming. He said, "Oh, you know, I think he would love the way, you know, the economy is going," but he wasn't talking about George Floyd. They took a soundbite,
right?
Yeah,
and they twisted this whole shit and made it about this is what Trump has to say about George Floyd.
They ignored when Nancy Pelosi thanked him for dying, and just the disrespect around that whole thing. They gave him a folded flag, golden casket.
They don't know this man. They don't know this man.
He got a gold casket. He had like 3 funerals. Look, they politicized everything.
That was where I was just like, that's actually where I got mad when I saw the folded flag. they reserve that for people who give their life to this country.
Right.
And I was just like, no way. Mm-mm.
But no, you just made a good point. But the stupid people, unfortunately, I got to say that, don't know that. So they'll look at that and be like, oh, they're honoring him. But it's like, yo, this is not used for that. Like, this dude is not that. But they think that we're so stupid that they can do anything and get away with it. And this is the problem I have politically with that side, is that they will tell you something and then the people will sit there and believe it. Be like, well, I trust the science. What science do you trust that makes sense? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a
Fauci, and can I tell y'all something about Fauci really quick? Like I was telling you, C-Mo, Fauci couldn't even tell you what a virus looked like. Right? This man is a con artist. He don't know about viruses. He don't know about diseases. He don't know how they get passed. So when people think, oh, Anthony Fauci, he was here since the 90s and the 80s. Why? Like I said, why?
Right.
You don't last that long unless you're a bureaucrat. If you're actually doing your job, and no one will know about you. Actually, I think that's the point Thomas Sowell made. He's like, if someone's a good, a linguist or a chess player or something like that, most people will never hear about them. Right. It's when you step into that other lane of politics and all these other stuff that people really you blow up.
They needed Fauci to come and show his face like they needed all the rest of them to come show their face. They needed to roll out all this shit super fast, super quick, before you can emotionally and mentally process this shit, so you can just be swayed wherever they want you to go. And that was the fucked up part.
I want to make 2 quick points, and then we'll move on. Real quick is number one, you had mentioned you're going to be 26, right? Okay, so yeah, you're young, and we were talking about obviously politics, political parties, all this. I've never in my life seen more young people be involved with what's going on politically. Never. And it's a good thing and it's a bad thing. It's a good thing because that shows that people are aware of what's happening in their life, because these types of policies that we were talking about and Blanche was talking about earlier affect our lives. But the reason why it's bad is because I remember when I was younger, when I was like a teen and even younger than that, I used to always wonder why my dad and my grandfather were watching, CNN and the news. And I'm like, that shit is boring. Why are you watching that? Go watch a cartoon or something. But the thing is, now that I'm older, and we have been awakened from this matrix, we see that all this time, these are the things that have been shaping our reality that these people are putting in and pushing towards. And the fact that I'm starting to see people younger and younger, whether they vote on the left, vote on the right, vote in the middle or whatever, I see them being involved more politically. And it's damn near shocking to me because it's never been like that before. We would watch cartoons, go on about our day. Now we're sitting here going, what crazy shit is in the news cycle today? You know what I mean? Like, this is
most of my friends still can't get on that wave. They actually call me once a week or twice a week and ask me what's going on, because I'm the one that's paying attention. I'm sort of the one where they get all their news from.
Right. See, and that is starting to happen more, which another thing too for you, Blanche, is you have a platform where also you give people a voice, which is amazing because there's so many people, just like you at the bottom, you had said that, like, this is your first time going on live, right? See, this is what it's about, is that people get together and talk and build a community, because a lot of people don't get a chance to do that with others. Some people are stuck in families where their entire family is brainwashed and they can't talk to them, so they feel so alone and isolated.
Yeah.
It happens. And so that's why this is good. I'm glad to have you on too, man.
Thank you guys for having me.
Really good energy. Really good
energy.
Thank you
for pushing the questions and the elaboration. All great. Nice meeting you guys.
Yeah, man. Appreciate you being on.
Bye-bye.
Let me say this to end this situation on this note. Is kind of what Blot's been speaking on. This a movement that I'm trying to start. Is we need to stop calling ourselves black. To be call yourself black is to put a curse on you. None of us are black. None of us, like this shirt. Nobody looks like this. Okay?
Hmm.
Nothing of the earth in human form has that skin tone. Okay? The
Facts.
people that wrote the English language and that control things and the super elite know that they control people through spell casting through words. Okay? And if you call yourself black, to me, and I'm almost sure this is true, you put a curse on you. You put dark energy. Before we were called
Hmm.
black, we had our own bus companies. We were successful, like Block was talking earlier. Uh, soon James Brown and I'm talking about black and I'm proud and all this black fist stuff and all this black. That's when our societies, our neighborhoods fell to excuse my language. We
No,
need
you're right.
to stop calling ourselves black. That's going to be the detriment of us. It's already been a detriment because with this whole black movement, the black people in power told us to get the juice. Okay? The black people told us to go down to these fake movements, black BLM and Black Lives, see, Black Lives Matter, fake movement, black. We got to get out of that dark energy. That's dark, demonic, evil, satanic, dark, vicious energy by calling ourselves black. I believe we will rise up. And first of all, we are the human family, besides the ones of the fallen. That's a whole nother topic. Because it is the devil's children on earth. I believe that to be a fact.
That's facts. That's facts.
Hmm.
That's
The
a
demons are real.
whole nother topic. You know what I'm saying? That's the
Hmm.
wheat and tear situation. You know, the parable of the wheat and the tear. But everybody who's part of the human family, we need to be human. All of us
Hmm.
have color, even white people. They have color, unless you're albino or something. And even though some of them have color. But we need to stop calling ourselves black. The minute that we stop doing that, maybe for the ones who ain't been juiced up, because I believe you juiced, it's a wrap for you. You know what
Yeah,
I'm saying? Unless you need to pray, get on your hands and knees and pray to God to heal
that
you.
ain't even funny.
We
That's
should, we
real. Like
should,
that's the
we
truth.
shouldn't. Hey
You know what I'm
man,
saying? But for the
we
ones
shouldn't
who's
even be
not
getting
juiced,
those tests either. Shouldn't be getting them tests.
right. I refuse to get no more
Yes,
tests. No more tests, no more masks, no
Hmm.
more tests.
yes.
But when you black, you get the test. When you black, you wear the mask. When you black, you do whatever they tell you on CNN when you black. We have to stop saying we are black. Because that's some demonic stuff, man. That's dark energy, man. What you say, Blanche, about the carbon? And when the Antichrist come, the
Oh
whole thing
yeah,
with the
but they
carbon?
gonna because I'm talking about the market of how the market of beasts is gonna tie into climate change because
Hmm.
it's gonna be about think about it. They're gonna tell people
Hmm.
for you to be acceptable to the planet, we gotta alter your carbon because you're emitting too much carbon. That's how they're gonna get folks to get the market of beasts because it's gonna be a carbon altering thing. All this stuff ties in to the market of beasts eventually, one world government, all that stuff, Antichrist, the whole school. But they're going to use carbon though, because carbon is the thing that's destroying the planet, quote unquote. Even though carbon is what everything is made from, dang near. So
We are
it's
carbon based.
yeah, right. So it's just insane. But I know the woke people, the woke liberal weekend warriors, are gonna say we gotta save the planet. So they're gonna be, oh my goodness, it's gonna be terrible. But could y'all imagine though, if we went to Biden and we said we ain't black and we ain't African American? Could you
Mm.
imagine what the Democrats would do if we just came to them and said we ain't none of them labels no more? They
They
would
gonna
be
shit
like,
Mm.
their pants.
they'd be like, oh my goodness, like so.
Especially Biden, because I tell he said, well, if you don't vote for me, then you ain't black. I'd be like, I ain't blacker than the mother. I'm every other color, because
Right.
I'm like definitely ain't black.
Just to touch on what the brother was also saying, bro, because you was getting deep when you said to stop calling ourselves black because that was paper genocide. See, people don't know about the U.S. Census that we
Yeah.
weren't always labeled as Negro or black.
Hmm.
You know what we were labeled as? Mulatto,
Yeah.
American Indian. See, a
Right.
lot of people think that they want you to think, oh, all the Indians were,
That's a whole nother topic.
Hispanic looking
Hmm.
people when they look like all four of us on this damn screen right now.
Yeah.
And they don't
All of
want to
us didn't
admit
come off
that
of
because
slave ships.
hey,
Hmm.
most of
Didn't
us
come off the
didn't.
slave ship.
We was already here.
Most
This
of
was
us been here
our
the whole
land.
time.
This
And
was
well,
our
We
well,
the,
land.
listen,
we the
and
real
we know,
aboriginals.
and we know that again 2 years ago, I actually looked up how many slave ships they had, and they only have 5 on record. So we're talking about 14,000 voyages, and y'all only recorded 5 ships. It don't make any sense. Like I'm like, what? I said, what kind of butt? You think about it, you can't compete with Roots. You can't compete with 12 Years a Slave. You can't compete with Hollywood when it comes to all this stuff because Hollywood's pushing all this stuff out. So how do you tell somebody it's not real if I grew up watching this stuff on TV and in movies? Think about it. To me, they make this stuff so that we are conditioned to believe the story. So how many times you gonna make a slave movie? How many times they gonna remake Underground Railroad and Roots? How many times like they do this stuff over and over and over and over and over again? I just be like, goodness, man, y'all have another script? I mean, that's all I can be is a slave. Like y'all ain't got nothing else. Can I be a superhero? Yeah, you can. You can be Black Panther.
No. Well, no. The other
You
black
could be a
superhero
gay
they put.
black superhero.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Yeah.
Right.
And
Who's the
Eternals.
gay one? Who's the gay
And
one?
Eternals.
In
I forgot his
Marvel.
name in there.
No, don't tell me
Yeah.
Eternals did it. Don't tell me they did it. No.
Yep, they did it.
Hmm.
They did it. They had to make sure they
Yeah.
gotta make sure that they demasculize the man,
Come
the
on,
black man.
man.
Yeah.
You
The
already
black
know.
man.
And of
Not
course he's a
Eternals,
big
man.
strong
How's
one.
that even a gender? I thought they was Eternals. Like, why they even got a sexuality? What are we even doing, man?
It. No one cares. No one cares who you like. We don't care about that. The problem is they push it, and it's so. And I hear people argue this. They're like, "There's no agenda." I'm like, really? Because when I want you to know, see, and believe something, I'm gonna push it.
Right.
Now, this is exactly what they do. It's unnecessary. No one cares if Captain America is gay. Like, no one cares. But when you
But they
are
not
like,
gonna make Captain America gay.
well,
Your mic is going in and out,
Hey,
brother.
yeah,
Steve,
we
We
can't
can
hear you.
barely hear you.
Can you hear
We
me?
can barely.
your
Yeah,
mic.
Can
we
you
hear
hear
you
me?
now. We hear you now.
Yeah,
All
yeah,
right.
yeah.
I mean, the reason why they're pushing this, besides the black agenda, the reason why they're pushing this agenda is for 2 reasons. It's multifaceted in the fact that, first of all, for pedophilia, that's the end game. But for the most important
Yeah, yeah.
reason is the most disrespectful thing that you can do to the Most High is to practice the act of sodomy. Okay, and and the thing is, they want to flip everything upside down. You know what I'm
Yep.
saying? For them to have complete control, and they got to have everything flipped upside down and evil. So I want to drop
Hmm.
this on y'all real quick though. All right, it's about the Tower of Babel, and I want to leave y'all with this real quick. Did y'all ever see the end of the beginning of the Apocalypse movie? The end of the one what's the name of that? What's the name of that what's
X-Men
the X-Men?
Apocalypse.
The X-Men.
X-Men
Well, the
Apocalypse.
introduction of Apocalypse, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Did you see
Yep.
how he built the pyramid from his mind? And
Hmm.
everybody was worshiping. Did you peep that?
That was
Yep. I
Right?
crazy
remember
at
that.
the end.
To me,
Yep, I
I ain't
remember
saying
that.
I can't prove this, but I believe that was Nimrod building the Tower of Babel. That was aligned on the Stargate because to get to heaven or whatever you want to call it, you got to go through portals. Trying to reach to the sky ain't gonna get you to heaven. So
Yep.
so when he built those pyramids are lined with portals. And blocks,
Not
you know
just
how I
those
feel about.
pyramids in Africa though. It's pyramids all over
It's all
this
over the planet.
world.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
So my point is, blocks. I know you're gonna laugh at what I'm about to say. I believe your boy Bo is Nimrod. I can't prove it. I believe. I really believe this,
Who's
and I
Bo?
believe he's the one.
Who's
Huh?
Bo?
Obama.
Where you
I'm not it. Yeah. I saw. I think it was like the History Channel did a thing, and they made like the Antichrist or the devil look just like Obama.
Yeah, they took out. It was in a movie. They took it out.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Of course they did, because we knew we
Yeah,
knew
they
what they
took
were
it out.
trying to put. Um,
Yeah, I did some videos on that, and basically, to me, he'd be the perfect candidate because if you think about it, everybody think the Antichrist is going to be some white guy. Like they've already conditioned us to think that the villains of the earth are white.
It's gonna be a Jew.
So, no, what I'm saying, but they got us thinking that it's going to be some white man with white hair. Like, so we already conditioned to think it's going to be this. And we ought to be caught off guard. So we're going to be so caught off guard with if it's Obama because that's what everybody loves. He can think about it. He can speak well. What Biden say, he's clean cut and articulate. You haven't seen anybody like that before. Like, so this is what Obama has the appeal of the world already. He's already a global figure. As a matter of fact, he and Michelle on tour right now. They had some little tour where they were showing their artwork around the country, like paintings of them too. Like they are. I don't know. So you may be right. I don't know.
That's just my
yeah, it's a
conspiracy theory.
possibility.
That's just my conspiracy
Hey,
theory, man. And
you
No, it's
somewhere.
a theory. It ain't a conspiracy.
You somewhere with that, especially when you talk about. Okay, look, I wanted to say this earlier when we was talking about Hollywood, right? Who bought out Hollywood in 1930? The government.
The military industrial complex.
If you go on the CIA website right now and look at the facts page, right? Guess who they're gonna tell you they work closely with?
Oh yeah, they work with Hollywood.
Hollywood
Don't they got
Entertainment.
like a base or bases or something? There's a whole.
And I think, and then he passed the law that they could use propaganda against American citizens. Obama did.
Yep.
And,
Yes,
he sure did.
And the person that's over our media in America is actually from China. If you look her position up, the lady that so I mean it's already in the works to set all this stuff up, you know. Yeah.
And why you think they got all them
about to
ghost cities in China?
Huh?
Why you think they got all them ghost cities in China?
Man, listen, man.
You know about that, right?
You said the gold cities?
Ghosts. Like whole cities built with nobody in them.
Yeah, man. That stuff be creeping me out because I'd be like, who y'all gonna put in there?
Bill Gates has the most land out here, and everybody think it's about agriculture.
Crazy.
Okay.
Right. Bill Gates out his own mouth said people should be eating. He's trying to turn into food. And if you probably tell the average everyday person that, they're gonna be like, "You're crazy, man. That's a conspiracy theory." I'm tired of hearing that shit at this point. But
right,
because that's going to be the replacement of after they do the food shortage, the food that you talking about. That's going to be the savior of the food shortage. So all this, when by I say October, November, you're gonna really start to feel the pinch of the food shortage. But then they're gonna have, out of chaos comes order, and their game is to give you the food, as you like to say, as you just said, the food. These people, man, they're the best I ever did it. Directed under Satan.
Hey, all I'm gonna say is this on top of that about the food. If you're not growing, like I said, like we was talking about earlier, if you're not growing your in 2022, if you don't learn how to grow some, you might as well go get jabbed. I'm gonna be dead with y'all.
Right.
If you gonna go out, if you gonna go to Popeyes after this, you finna go to KFC. If you finna go to McDonald's, oh my God, you need to go to jail. McDonald's has been investigated for having human DNA in their food. These are the people y'all dealing with. Taco Bell, they coming out with fried chicken. Taco Bell, listen to what I just said. Taco Bell coming out with fried chicken.
Right. We was just talking about that at the shop last week.
It's all that fake meat.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't even know what we can call it. They make it in the lab. They're doing 3D printing. They're doing all
Yeah.
kinds of. There's no shortage of food. Are you kidding me? That's like saying there's a drought when 90% of the planet is water.
Water, yeah, it gets crazy, right?
Right.
And are you saying it's
Yeah,
overpopulated? But then you drive up the coast of California, man, you see all this land, all
nothing
this
but land.
space,
Do you
and
all
they trying to
know?
tell you we overpopulated.
Do you all know that you can fit every person in the United States on an acre of land in Texas?
Yep.
Everybody on 1 acre. That's how big this country. Like, overpopulation is a lie.
Hmm.
And you can fit everybody in the world in Texas on 600 square feet on the planet. So the whole overpopulation thing, to me, all these global elites do is get you like, it's from like a scarcity standpoint. We don't have enough. This is this. So to get your mind already conditioned that something's bad will happen if you don't let us intervene. Like, it's crazy.
Right.
Well, so
That's
all part of the Georgia Guidestones.
right.
You know,
Yep,
the depopulation
yep.
of the planet from 6-7 billion to 500 million.
500,000,
But
500,000.
but if you tell people that, you're a conspiracy theorist, even though it's written on stone.
Right.
So
And who put it up? Who did it? Like, who made the stones?
right.
Like,
How
think about
long has it been
it.
there? Where'd it come from?
Right. So if us four got together and put some stones up, let's just say in LA, the city's gonna tear it down.
Facts.
Hmm.
Right?
Immediately.
So why would y'all leave these stones up? It don't make any sense. You're just gonna leave
Hmm.
them up?
And what do they mean? And not necessarily what do they mean, but what do they mean to whom? Because the people, if I put in a time capsule like in the ground and I come and pick it up in 8 years, whatever's in it meant something to me
Yeah.
for it to be put in the ground. So for this to be on stone in the middle of wherever the fuck, like, I mean, we know it's in Georgia, but that's besides the point. For it to be there, just sitting there, and people go and they take photos, it's like, what does it actually mean? You're just taking photos with it because it's a landmark, so to speak. But it's like there's stuff written on there that means something to someone.
There's
So
more
who does it mean what
optimism in the
to?
world
Well,
right now, right?
speaking things into existence.
True.
Spell casting.
Yeah. Yeah.
They put it on the wall and it manifests when you read it, and then people's subconscious. We start all thinking about this. And you tell people about this, and they look it up and they see it, and we all will it to become reality, and it's happening now through the jab, because I can guarantee you, people are going to start dying these next couple of years, and
Oh, I already
that
know.
thing going into fruition just on that alone. Forget the wars and all that's about to start, the famine, the creative famines. They're going to start this jab, this juice thing. This juice thing gonna take a lot of people out, man. Just be
Well,
prepared to do a lot of, mourning for a lot of your family members that took that.
oh yeah. And I want to piggyback off what you said real quick too, though, is that it's problem, reaction, solution. We're all familiar with that. They created the problem, or at least a false sense of a problem. And Blanche, when if you have me on yours, we'll go into that story that I had to, I came in on your show with. But they create the problem, you react, and they give you the solution.
Yeah.
So what their plan is, they go, we need to get everybody hokey poked. How do we do that? Well, let's create some bullshit. Okay, or not. It's just a false sense of it. You react to it. Now they got you because they gave you the solution to it. So,
And they don't have any liability for y'all just dropping to the fucking ground.
Right.
that's true too.
Right.
Right.
All right, guys. Well, we're gonna close out for the night. We're gonna post. Lenny, you can post as well. Everyone's and stuff for people to follow. Once again, thank you guys for checking this one out. We're gonna be back on Thursday with another guest.
All
All right. So,
Hold
all
on,
right, guys.
but this one will be up on the interviews page, or just you gonna do it on YouTube?
Interviews page.
Okay, all right. All right.
Yes,
Send
sir.
him and send. We'll send you a couple clips too.
Okay. All
Yeah,
right.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, we're gonna do
All right.
some editing and all that as well.
Okay. Thank you. All right.
Yes,
Cool,
All
sir.
right,
cool.
Yes,
guys.
sir.
All right.